All right, welcome back to the Boys 161st Street, episode 206. Today is June 9th, and we're recording an episode talking about the Yankees. Let's go. I was trying to do it as fast as I could, and I thought that was pretty good.
Not bad. If I did that, you would have heard.
If we would hear if you talked at your regular speed, brother. Oh, burn.
Amen to that one.
That's called a podcaster to podcaster burn.
Is this friendly banter?
You don't talk well. Fucked up. All right, how are we doing, boys?
Fantastic.
Today you got me. My name's Luke. If you're with us for the first time, welcome in. But today you got the full house again. I haven't had not a full house in a little while now. I'm really happy.
Boys are buzzing.
Boys are buzzing.
It's been like a week. I had the sunburn.
That's true. I forgot about the sunburn. We did make mention of that on the top of the show last week, so I'm glad we did it again.
I'm still peeling, so I guess it's still valid.
Well, it's the summer and we're in the summer now, so expect Murph to miss one episode every other week.
No, I got my annual sunburn out of the way.
You figured out what sunscreen was?
I'm still scared of the sun, don't get me wrong, but
It would make me really happy if like a listener sent you aloe or something like that. You would have to give out your address.
I say it'd be a little concerning, but
yeah. Nobody's gonna go
I
get him in the Great North. Like, who wants to go to Glen Falls?
Going to Glen Falls?
JK, I had a lot of fun there.
Falls. I don't get very triggered, Damon.
I said,
But if you pronounce Jimmer Fredette's hometown wrong one more time,
Glen
I'm gonna
Falls.
come all the way down there to the city and I'll show you a thing or two.
Glen Falls.
Glens Falls.
I said Glens Falls.
Curtis. No, you said Glen Falls.
I said Glens. I said Glens.
Lumber power play.
I said Glens.
If I
Check the
heard
tape.
Glens, I would not be
All right.
upset.
Check the podcast tomorrow morning. It's Glens.
Damon,
All
I
right.
take this very seriously.
Okay, we're done
All right.
here. So we're recording this episode before tonight's game. I was gonna say matinee, but it's not a matinee. It's at night. Have you ever been to a matinee before? We're done here. We're done with the small talk. So yeah, we're recording this before the episode because we wanted to watch
Before we stop with the small talk, can you define a matinee for me?
matinee.
It's like a time.
It's like an event
show.
during the middle of the day,
I didn't know
an
that.
afternoon.
Like a matinee Broadway show is like a 2 p.m. show.
I thought matinee just meant like the prime time. I didn't know.
That's
that.
No,
it's
it's
the
quite
exact
the opposite,
of-
actually.
Of a matinee.
I'll be damned.
Yeah,
I haven't
You
been to
learn
many
something new
Broadway
every day.
shows. So you
They're kind of fun. My mom asked me to go to one the other day, and I didn't.
went to
Truth be
one.
told, I will say I learned this like 2 days ago.
Okay, well, I guess I'm the only educated one here. So
This is
Yankees,
the
move
first
on.
time you've known
cheers to
something.
that. And yeah, we're recording this before the night game where Garrett Cole tees off against the. I mean, it's kind of a preconceived notion that he's just going to shove. That being said, we're going to record next episode, and he's going to give up 9 in the first inning. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the last 2 games, and there's a lot of meat on the bones of topics we're going to hit. Nestor struggled a little bit last night. We'll dive into that. We got hot or not. One thing I wanted to go into kind of right out of the gate, because we've obviously seen it firsthand. This is the first time we've played against Gio Urshela and Gary Sanchez since the trade. Obviously, you see people like Glaber still loving Gary, and I love seeing that. We didn't really like Gary while he was here, but that doesn't mean I don't like Gary the person, and I'm happy he has friends. So seeing Glaber give him a hug and all that and whatever, and just look at it, it's like he looked at like the Twins logo across the chest. It's like, oh, look at that, you're on a different team now. It's like, yeah, Glaber probably just found out today, but
It's a wholesome moment.
Yeah, it was
wholesome moment. I really liked it.
Bigger than baseball moment right
But
there.
Very
I
well
thought-
said, Damon.
Very, very well said, Damon.
Thank you.
Who said you were a bad speaker?
I did.
I did too. So when I saw that, I was like, huh, maybe on the pod we can reassess the trade and give I was going to say way too early who won the trade, but not really way too early. A 1/3 of the way into the season, who is currently winning that trade. So I guess just rapid fire across the board before we compare some stats. Murphy, do you think we won that trade or not?
Hard to say we lost that trade given how well the Yankees been playing this year, but without the stats in front of me, it seems like Gio especially is the best player this year that was involved in that trade. So that kind of stinks to see, but I'm also not that surprised. Yeah.
Which
No,
is
that's
interesting
really
too, because I
understood.
feel like he was even though he had been so good for us, I still feel like he was a little bit of a throw-in, like in the sense that he didn't drive the value of that trade. The driving values of that trade, in my mind, were getting rid of a bad person in Gary and getting rid of a bad contract on their side in Donaldson's. It was less about IKF and Gio.
Yeah.
But in
I
terms
agree.
of talent, I agree. I think Gio's the most talented one in that trade. But I almost disagree with that because I personally, I know Donaldson's had his ups and downs, but I think as good as Gio's been for the past couple of years, I do feel like there's going to be a point where he just, I don't know that he's I don't know, and I think maybe that's unfair to say because I feel like you guys know where I'm going with this. I feel like he's not that guy.
He has been for like 3 years, though.
Less so than Donaldson. I think Donaldson has more offensive upside, that's completely fair to say. His last year, his baseball savant numbers were ridiculous, and he was one of the better hitters in baseball last year, even at his older age. And he's got the pedigree of being an older guy who's been there, done that. He could do things with the baseball like he did with just like the walk off the other day, where he knows what to do with it. He's been there, done that.
Yeah.
No, in the playoff games, I feel like no moment will be too big for him. I hope that's the case for him, and that's kind of what you're signing up for with a nice grizzly vet like Donaldson. So I think from that respect, I think if all else equal right now, and it does seem like they're relatively equal offensively, and I think I haven't really been paying attention to Gio's defense. He did make a couple nice plays against us in the series already, but Donaldson's been great on defense. So, I mean, I guess all else equal there as well. I think I would take the upside. I think we won the Donaldson piece of that, even though in my mind, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I will say I think that what you said about like having more upside is a good way to put it. Like with Gio, I feel like we kind of like I don't think Gio would have went out there and hit like 320 with like had this incredible season. Like I think he would have did like exactly what we expected him to do, kind of like what IKF might be doing right now. Like nothing insane, nothing that's like gonna get everyone talking crazy. Like he would have just done a job. And Donaldson, on the other hand, I feel like he has potential to be like a massive part of the lineup down the road. Like come September, come October, like when it really starts to matter. And that's where I feel like we have the upside of the win of the trade, because just from right now, I think it's pretty even. Like I don't think either of them. I think we could have put either of them at third base right now and would have had very similar outcomes to where we are right now. Like, I don't think any of them are impact players or would have been impact players on the Yankees right now. But that being said, I think down the road, Donaldson has more upside to actually help us win a World Series.
I don't want to say we like won or lost anything. I think getting rid of Gary Sanchez was important, and that's not me just beating a dead horse. I think that we've seen the value that having a guy like Jose Trevino brings to that. Doesn't happen if Gary Sanchez isn't gone. That to me is because if you take the rest of the guys, Donaldson, Gio, not Gary, but Donaldson, Gio, IKF, yes, we're winning a lot of games and we're doing a lot of things right. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't really think that those guys are the ones that are driving these wins. I wouldn't change it right now, just, excuse me, because we're winning. We're winning games. It's hard to complain and say, I'm pissed off about this trade. So I don't know. I think getting rid of Gary Sanchez and bringing in a true catcher was very useful. IKF, whatever, he's not great. It is what it is. And then Donaldson, Gio, at this point in the season's a toss-up. You guys talk about the playoff pedigree and stuff like that. We'll see in October, but I wouldn't change anything, but I don't think that this trade, any part of it, even though it was our most significant deal or whatever you want to call it in the offseason, I don't really think that any part of this outside of the catcher, which is the weirdest part to say, has had a significant impact on the season.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say on this is that I don't even know how Gary's doing this year. I don't think it's very well, if he's doing very well, but like
on par with what he has done.
So like not shocking. But anyway, even if he did do amazing this year, which like let's just say maybe he turns around and has a great season, like I don't really give a fuck. Like if he kept playing with the Yankees, he would have continued to be terrible.
Yep.
It was just one of those situations that if he kept playing with the Yankees, he would just continue to be the same person and just continue to struggle and be an awful catcher defensively and offensively. That's all I'll say on that.
Did you notice that Gallo and Gary were sharing a laugh? And I thought in my head, like, when people see people and they just like, it's like caption contest, like what do you,
what
what do you think they're talking about? in my mind, I was like, Gary's absolutely, this is obviously not true, but I was like, Gary's probably telling him like, hey, doesn't it suck being the one that everybody hates? Like, Yankee fans have to pick one person to absolutely dominate in the media. And it's you right now, brother. And it's like, doesn't it suck? He's like, I passed the torch to you right now. Everybody hates you. And I wish I could say it gets better, but it doesn't. You're just going to get traded. And I feel like that's kind of the same situation that's happening right now.
See you in Minnesota in 3 weeks.
See you in Minnesota, brother. I got a nice lake house. You think Gary has a lake house?
No. Gary's definitely not a.
Gary's not a lake guy.
Doesn't strike me as a
also
lake
Minnesota. Come on.
What's wrong with Minnesota?
It's fucking
There's
cold.
a million lakes in
Not in the
Minnesota.
summer.
It's literally called the land of 1,000 lakes, 10,000 lakes.
No, as a
Stupid statement.
frequenter in Minnesota, I go
Been
there
once
a summer. I'm going back this summer because
You've
it was so great.
You've been once. Now you're going again.
That's
The next time will be
That's not.
frequenting.
Yeah, well, I don't even think twice in 2 years is frequenting somewhere.
I think 3's a
That's
few.
I go.
well,
on
my
an
family's
annual
now
trip.
making it an annual trip, so I will be
you've been
frequenting.
once.
It was a fantastic time, and I hope that Gary has a lake, and I really think he wouldn't, but you know,
We'll see.
wouldn't want to assume
Interesting.
anything.
Yeah. Since we've been talking, I pulled up some numbers
Gio's got a lake.
for the gentleman that
Definitely
we've been
lake guy.
talking about. Donaldson and Gio, very similar OPS pluses. 114 for Donaldson, 118 for Gio. I know that's a stat we like to talk about. I looked at their
Gio.
fielding without going into boring metrics. They're fielding similar.
Advanced metrics, Murph.
Gary, I'm not an advanced metrics guy.
Today
per
seems
se.
like you are.
I wouldn't consider OPS plus an advanced metric.
For you, it is.
Okay. But yeah, Gary 109 and IKF 1 or just 85. So if you add up the OPS pluses, which is in no way how you determine the trade, they win. But I think that the way I looked at that trade is like, Donaldson for Gio and then IKF for Gary. And when you look at it that way, it's like, all right, Donaldson and Gio, it's pretty much one off, easy swap, pretty similar across the board. And then the way IKF fits in this team and the way we've been playing this year and the style we've been playing, IKF fits that way better than Gary did and way better than Gary would. And so for that reason and how well the Yankees are playing this year, I feel like we won so far. But yeah, that's just me.
But we did trade for IKF to be the defensive wonder kid, and he's been not that. At least,
I mean, he's
at
way
least in
better
terms of errors.
defensively than he's way better defensively than Gary is.
Can I give you some knowledge? You dropped us with the matinee. It's actually Wonderkind. not
That's
Kind.
what I thought when I was saying
gonna
it.
say that.
Another thing I recently learned.
Yeah,
Crazy,
I learned
right?
that like a month ago. It was awesome.
I literally, as I said it, I was like, "Fuck, I said that wrong." But I
Wasn't
also,
it from a movie
I
or
wasn't
something?
confident enough to say, "No, good call out." Want to educate the audience, so
Oh, it's from Ted Lasso.
I haven't watched that.
That's what that's
definitely
from.
not from Ted Lasso.
No, it is.
Wonderkind? That's been all
just a
around
word.
for a
No,
long
no,
time.
no, no.
That's just a name.
No.
Just a word.
I'm not saying they invented them. I'm saying there's a big
Oh,
scene.
they talked.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
big scene
I
where
know
they
what
call him a
you're
Wonder Kid. He's like, no, a Wonderkind. It's like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
Damn,
thought you
he
were
he's
said
saying
very
they
upset
invented
about it.
Damn it! Has anybody ever told you that you remind them of Coach Beard?
No, but I take those compliment.
I would take that as a compliment.
I'd hope so. Somebody told me that once, and I immediately thought, "Thank you," but also I know a guy that
Let me
more
pass the
like
torch.
him than me. Yeah,
I'll do you one better.
yeah. I'll do you one better. Meet my friend Damon.
Before we get into hot or not, I wanted to just address one thing. I wanted to just, I think MLB posted this, or it's one of the sports, CBS Sports or something like that. They posted it, and it was the current playoff picture 1/3 of the way into the season. And out of the AL, 4 of the 6 teams in the playoffs were in the AL East.
It's what we
Currently.
expected going into the season.
Yes,
Ye-
but
yes.
after the Red Sox free fell for a little bit, the Red Sox have rattled off 7 straight recently.
I
They've
didn't
been-
even realize the Red Sox were. I just didn't even put two
and
and two
they
together.
rattled off 7 straight, and then before that they were on another streak, and like they've been very good. It's just we've been better, and we are better, and we are awesome. But it's just crazy. It's what we expected, but I think it also speaks to how fucking weak the rest of the AL is.
Are there 2 wild card games now?
3. There's three wild card teams, 2 wild card games.
There's no wild card game though. It's not going to be.
Yeah, it's
one.
not a
It's
wild
like a
card.
3-game
Everything's
series?
a series. You
They
get,
just get paired.
you get a
Gotcha.
series.
Let's
If
go.
I could speak to that. Sorry.
Go ahead.
You
leave-
left
leave
for a
it in-
second, came back, and just started talking.
I had to pee, but I was
Commandeer the
listening whole time.
conversation.
All right, I was gonna say one thing on the standings board about how we expected the 4 of us to be in the playoff picture. Like, yes, we expected that, but I'll tell you right now, I did not expect to be 7 games ahead of the Blue Jays and the Rays, and then 12 games ahead of the Red Sox.
That's true.
That I did not expect, which is fucking awesome.
What's our lead at?
7-7-12.
7?
I think it's 7-7-12.
Allow me to double check.
That's pretty sweet. If
It might have
if
changed.
true.
Might have changed last night.
I
but
looked
it's
six and a
earlier. I
half.
think it's
6 and a
6.5, 7.5, and 10.5. I think
It's
not-
6.5, 7, 10.5
We're only 10.5 over the Orioles.
I'm pretty close.
over the
over
Red
the
Sox.
Red
Red
Sox.
Sox.
Oh, what's the Orioles?
16.5.
12.
Okay, that's
16.
that's more like it.
Yeah. We're gonna say
But
Murph.
about the playoff picture, it's so 3 wild card teams. The top 2 division winners in terms of record have a bye. The worst division winner plays the worst wild card, and then the other 2 wild cards play each other. I believe.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
theoretically, it would be right now Yankees
Bye.
and
would
Yankees
have a
bye, and who else has a
Blue
bye?
Jays.
No,
Astros?
It would be the Astros. Yes, the Astros have a bye, and then the Indians or White Sox. They're
Excuse me,
changing
who?
Who's winning? The Guardians,
Guardians.
and the White Sox would play the Red Sox, and then the Tampa Bay and Toronto would play each other to play us.
Did I? So there's 7. That
Right.
make I said 6. Okay, so
So
That's 7.
it's 3 and 3. 6.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes.
is it 6 or 7?
6.
Okay, so I was right. I just got confused because I didn't know if they did add one,
I
right?
think us just rattling off teams is probably not fun to listen to.
No, I mean it's people.
No, we're
people.
talking
I'm
about
sure
the-
people
the-
forgot
Well, I know,
about the
but we're just
playoff
arguing
scenario.
about how it works.
Honestly, I saw one graphic. It's like if it started today, and it's honestly not the best for us because we have a bye, and then we have to play the winner of Toronto and Tampa Bay, who are both better than the Red Sox and the Guardians, in my opinion.
That is true.
That's
because
where it
since
gets
they're-
interesting.
since
Or the White
they're-
Sox.
Since they're not a division winner, they automatically are seeded lower, which in theory would be playing a lower seed, but we're actually playing the better team because the Twins might just win their division, or
As
the
the
or the
only
Guardians
team
might just
over
win their
500.
division right over 500, or I mean the
there's
Astros
not-
are the one team that like are actually a good in that mess of teams below outside the AL East, but like. You would think that we would be getting the benefit, but I actually would prefer to be like a middle seed, honestly. But too bad
It
we're
would
too good.
It would be the Twins. Sorry, not the Guardians or the White Sox. Twins have a 4-game lead over the division in the Central.
Yeah,
That's actually kind of scary. That sucks. That the first, like, the ALDS, I guess. I mean, you'll have to run into them anyway, but
yeah.
having to go against the Rays or the Blue Jays immediately.
So we're probably gonna. Okay, I know this is way ahead of schedule, and we'll get into the odd or not in a second. But just one thing I noticed on that, if things do stay similar to that, and I do think they will, because if we win the division, like we said, how it'll work out is the people that don't win their division are going to be lower seeds, and we're going to play them in round 1. So it's going to be somebody from the AL East that we probably play. If that's the case, we're going to probably have the hardest strength of schedule or hardest route to win the World Series out of anybody, because we're going to be going either through the Blue Jays or the Rays first round, and then we would probably play
The Astros.
the Astros, and then we would play the Mets or Dodgers
No,
or
we
something
would
like
only
that.
have to play. Oh, yeah, okay.
we
yeah,
would
it's the World
only
Series.
play good teams, is what I'm saying.
It would
We
be the
wouldn't-
winner of
It's playoffs.
We wouldn't get no, but like we wouldn't. No, but that's not the playoffs. Look, we play the fucking Twins every year, and we just rattle their bones. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, yes, but this year is very different. Very good teams this year.
That was the whole point of what I just said. Let's get into
Just
hot or
agreeing
not.
with you.
I think the whole entire thing, it's going to shake up being one of us, Blue Jays, Rays, and then the Twins and the Astros.
One of us.
So
one
I
of
don't know
us.
if this is necessarily true or not, but one thing I had in mind when I saw that was that there haven't necessarily been as many in division games for the divisions to beat up on each other, especially the AL East. Like we really haven't played Boston that much. We barely played the Rays, and we played Baltimore a lot, but they're going to beat up on each other a little bit. So I don't know if that's necessarily what it's going to look like. Obviously, the Angels are free falling, but
the Angels have lost 14 in a row. The Rangers suck. The only team that would not shock me that comes out of nowhere is like the White Sox. Outside of that, the Orioles, no. The Royals, no. The Tigers, no.
Well, the White Sox are also going to get healthier.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only team that's not in the picture that we're talking about right now that even has a chance. Because the A's, Mariners, Rangers, Angels, Royals, Tigers. I'm reading it off of Luke's wall. I don't just have this off the top of my head. But Orioles, like half the teams aren't even competitive. Not even half. Yeah. More than half the teams aren't even competitive. So
if I was a betting man, I would probably take the White Sox at probably pretty favorable or good odds right now to win their division, because once they get healthy, that division sucks. So they can just run the table. Let's get into Hot or Not, shall we?
Let's do it.
The show.
Hot or Not is presented by Underdog Fantasy. Go download the Underdog app. Underdog is our favorite place, and it's the easiest place to play fantasy sports. It's a good mixture of, fantasy sports and gambling, which is it's in a gambling world that we live in now that it's legal in New York and New Jersey and everywhere but seemingly Massachusetts. Our friends in Mass don't really love that so much. It's a lot of fun. It's a different version than just taking, money line and everything like that. You can bet Aaron Judge and parlay that with Aaron Hicks to strike out, like I said, which actually, spoiler alert,
probably gonna happen.
Aaron Hicks might have made his way into the hot list. I don't know, presented by Underdog Fantasy. But Underdog lets you draft your fantasy team in minutes. You can sign up now with the code 161boys and you'll double your first deposit up to $100 in bonus cash. When you make your first deposit of $10 or more, deposit $100 and get a free $100. They have a lot of fun things like pick'em games, and it's not available in every state, but where there's you can win like 20 times your money in one night. And like I said before, you could do like the thing where you parlay different people to do different things, like Hicks to strike out or hit a home run or all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a different version of gambling it's a breath of fresh air. You know what I'm saying? So
we'll also be hosting some events in there, doing some drafts against us, drafts against other Yankees fans. And you can gamble against us directly, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So sign up before we do that so you're ready to go. Which
we talk about a lot in our Chalkboard group chat, this episode is presented by Chalkboard. Fantastic segue, Luke. I know, pat myself on the back. But go join our Chalkboard group chat. We're trying to build the biggest Yankees group chat in all the land. We already have it. I feel like we have the crown. It didn't exist before, so now it does.
I think we do have it, but if
we do have it. We took the crown, but right now we have about 400 and something in there right now. We would like to have everybody listening to the podcast. You right now listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube. I'm looking right at you. I'm pointing too for the audio only people. It's like the Uncle Sam. We want you to join the Chalkboard group chat and chat with us and talk about our gambling in Underdog. So cross the swords there. You know what I'm saying? Bad reference. Cut that out. But yeah, let's get into Hot or Not, presented by Underdog Fantasy. Use code 161boys. Who wants to do the hots? Who wants to do the knots?
I'll do the hots.
So for those tuning in for the first time, welcome in. Like I said, Hot or Not is a segment where we just read off some of the stats that we found interesting. They might not necessarily be like regular stats. They could be just funny things and things that we just wanted to talk about that were either good or bad. So yeah, hots. First up, Aaron Hicks. Aaron Hicks, in his last 7 games, has a 409 batting average. That's kind of wild considering how much he sucks. Weighted runs created plus 187 in the last 7 days. OPS is 928. What would you think? Selling, okay. DJ in his last 7, he has a 320 batting average, a 455 OBP, a 520 slug for a 975 OPS, sprinkling in 7 walks and 8 ribbies in that same time frame, Damon.
I'll do a soft buy.
Okay, that doesn't exist. But Gio Urshela, this series, not on the Yankees, but he's 4 for 8 with us. Well, with a double, an RBI, and making Stanton do some dances out there in right field.
I mean, that's just, it's stupid.
Okay, that was the part that I was talking about.
Stan should have caught all those balls.
You think you could have caught all those balls?
100% could have
Not
caught
all of them, but
if you gave me that same ball 10 times, I catch that ball 9 times.
Which one? There was like 3.
All 3 of them.
Damon,
I'm faster than Stan.
I don't think you are.
I don't think so either.
Damon, you're missing a leg.
Yeah, for those who don't know Damon personally,
One, that sucks. Damon's a
one,
great guy.
that sucks, and two, Damon had a little bit of a. Damon played rugby, as you could probably tell by his beard. Murph did not, as you could probably tell by his fraudulent beard, and Chandler obviously didn't.
Okay.
I didn't either, so I'm with
I
you.
take offense to that.
I'm glad I didn't though, because Damon nearly lost a leg in kind of his life. No,
Yeah, we won't go to that
we
far.
maybe that's a little bit exaggerated, but he got like his leg snapped by some guy.
I got half a knee.
I'm
but
pretty sure the guy like bit your leg too, and he like
whatever. Anyway,
there's a bear involed.
I killed that bear.
You should see him.
You just see that guy.
There was a bear.
I could outrun Stan.
I don't think he can.
No.
Dude, he's not fast. He can 100% I could. There's no doubt in my mind.
He's not fast relatively. When
He's not
on the
fast
same
for a
field,
pro athlete.
when on the same field with other pro athletes,
no doubt in my mind.
I don't even think you can outrun Gary.
That's ridiculous.
All right,
Gary
that's a little
looked kind of
different.
quick the other day on the base paths. I know Chandler thinks the same because he didn't say no right away.
No shot.
I mean, I love you, Damon. I don't know that you can outperform a pro athlete.
All right, well, we don't. I'll find out his 40 time, and then I'll do it.
Then we'll go do it. We'll live stream
They
it.
run 60s. And
Yeah, you got to.
I'll do a 60.
okay.
Now, Brandon Lockridge, on the other hand, I could take every day, twice on Sunday.
Yeah, fast
Yeah.
guy. Yankee
80 grade
organization.
speed doesn't matter. It's just saying. Get him on the pod. I'll talk.
Yeah, he got lucky when he got clocked in for that 80 grade
yeah.
speed.
Brandon Lockridge has never seen me run from my chair to the couch. I haven't seen American speed like that since I don't know when.
Probably never.
That's a good point. You put a nice glass of Whistle Pig or something at the end of
I
that
hate
line.
Whistle Pig. I'll say
This
it.
thing's not good.
I
It's
mean,
objectively
I could have
bad.
come up. I object. I could have come up with a better whiskey.
This
Definitely.
episode's
but
not
it
sponsored
is
by
not
Whistle
bad.
Pig.
I think Whistle Pig's delicious.
You told
It
us,
is-
and I
is
tried
it-
it. It
is
was
it-
bad. I don't like rye.
I don't trust. I'm drinking rye right now.
I don't
Actually,
like
this
rye at
might be
all.
better.
Rye is
I don't know if it's
gross.
better. I don't normally like rye, but I am very much enjoying the one I have right now. High West in Utah.
These are the kind of conversations that happen when we recap only 2 games versus a whole series. But
Anyway.
the people, if you're still here, you stick around for it because you like us and we like you. How about that? Chalkboard. So
Can I point? Why the fuck did you soft buy DJ LeMahieu?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You said soft buy to DJ being awesome. I just think that's a very poor take on your part. I would like to hear your reasoning.
Honestly, I don't know why. I just feel like saying soft buy for a reason.
I mean, it's like it's you know why? Because it's how Murphy started this. It's an out. You leave yourself a back door, and you can get out of anything. If because
I don't do that.
because people don't
You
react.
say it depends on everything.
Because we react to it immediately, and during the time where you're buying and selling the rest of them, I'm in the back of my mind judging you, or so are the listeners. And you leave yourself a back door, and then once you see the reaction of everybody, you're just like, actually, that's why I said soft buy. It's so fucked up and manipulative, and I don't like it.
I did not.
You gotta
I
stick
did
with your
not. I
guns
did not
and say
think that
yes
far in
or
advance.
no.
I did not think that far in advance.
Yeah,
I just
you're
wanted
right,
to
and
say
I-
soft buy.
You see it, right?
I think Damon's on a bit of a hot streak of just saying things to stir people up. He said something in our
Yeah, I
group
did.
the other day. Yeah. The
That was during the
IKF
podcast.
No, it was I sent the video of
No,
the
we
IKF
said it during
error.
the podcast. I talked about it.
No, I know, but I sent the video and you didn't watch it.
No.
And you solely were just saying that just to get a rise at everybody.
Yeah, it
no,
was.
no, that was a tough catch.
Tell you what, it worked.
Yeah, I was like, that was a tough catch.
That's
It's like,
called good content, brother.
it's like, dude, if he didn't move, that literally would have blown.
Oh yeah,
through
I
his
watched
chest.
it and then I completely agree with you.
Yeah, you just didn't even watch it. You're
I
just
didn't watch it.
in the
No.
habit of trying to.
Yeah,
Speaking
100%.
of things that we watched, I know this is way off topic, but saw it with my eyeballs, wanted to address it. Damon pointed something out that I didn't see with my
Whoa.
eyes, and
that?
shocking as that is. So when Rizzo cut that ball off, can we just
Oh,
talk
yeah,
about that,
that
for a
was
second?
yeah,
ridiculous.
I didn't see
He-
that.
I was yelling at the TV.
He could have, from where he caught the cutoff, he probably could have spit onto the warning track.
I didn't know
Not
that.
actually, but it was very. I was like,
I
why the
think
hell
legit-
is Rizzo?
I think legit it was
He
20,
was-
20 feet.
He was
Not
standing where
exaggerating.
Stanton He was probably standing where Stanton was playing when the ball was hit.
Yeah, 100%.
You think that's a disrespect at Stanton? Like, I don't think you can reach 2 feet, so
No.
I'm going to just cut it off.
I don't know
and take,
what it was.
Stanton's got a really good arm though, so I don't think
Here's what
just,
that was.
I don't know, man.
Here's what that was. When I know I mentioned it a lot. I haven't played since last season, but softball, I had a couple guys on my team who we just stuck them in the outfield because they were just bad and they had no arm whatsoever. Probably shouldn't have done that in hindsight, but if I'm going after a shallow ball or something like that, and I obviously have a rocket, so when I go up to them, it's almost like when that situation where like a guy that stinks on your local softball team and you're right there up to him, you just take the ball, like he flips it to you and you throw it. Like there's no cutoff.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of felt like to me. And I think maybe there's some internal problems in the locker room.
But also
think that's
Rizzo.
absolutely ridiculous.
I don't want to read too deeply into it, but I think
You're reading so
I
far.
think
He
Rizzo,
basically said you suck.
Rizzo, known locker room guy, hates Stanton, which means that Stanton is the cancer in the locker room.
That's the
You're
episode of the podcast.
absolutely so
Why do you
wrong.
think
It's
when as
not
soon as he
even
came
funny.
back, we lost the game?
He
Case
was out there
closed.
because he
Case
thought it was
closed.
going to have to be a double cut, sure. And the fact that it was low enough for him to even catch, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't seen any replay of it or anything. I just saw it when it happened. I don't even think he had to jump. So I think he was playing too deep, definitely, but I don't know.
Well, also the throw Rizzo did afterwards fucking
He
sucked.
Spiked it off his
He
toes.
spiked it
No,
into
he-
the dirt.
Yeah, you
Not
can't
no
cut that
grabbing
off
an
and
arm,
then throw
Rizzo.
something
I mean,
down.
You gotta be
Obviously,
confident in that throw.
Obviously, Stanton has a better arm than Rizzo, and he can probably throw it 20 feet farther than Rizzo, especially off a hop.
Now,
But
what
he was probably cutting it off to try to throw to a different base, was what I was thinking.
Now
Some
Rizzo and him-
unresolved tension. Maybe.
Rizzo and him need to go throwing contests.
Without seeing it, my guess would be that he was expecting Stanton to catch the ball, so he was kind of just drifting. And
Yeah.
Oh, it's nothing.
then he missed
it's
it.
completely nothing. But
that's what I've said. That would be my guess. I didn't see it.
Either way, it
Oh,
was
you need to
bad-
see it
Bad
then.
play.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I was munching
show
on my
you after.
calzone.
It's-
I live in New York, so
yeah. They have calzones everywhere. But
Can I
I do
mention
want to
something on
see.
the
I want to
Hawks?
see them sign, like, just stand at home plate and just each of them gets a ball and just throw it as far as you can. If they like, just
Stanton could definitely outthrow Rizzo.
you think Stanton can get it over the center field wall?
Yeah,
Like Bauer did.
No,
maybe not.
from home plate. No,
Stanton's got a cannon, dude.
Well, Bauer did it off the mound.
probably was a pitcher.
I'm saying he didn't.
Was a
He didn't
pitcher.
even do it from home plate. Home
Facts.
plate's even harder. Was a pitcher, correct?
Yeah, about 60 feet harder, give or take.
Okay, damn it.
Can I do a honorable mention for the Hots, if you don't mind?
You can.
Joey Gallo, last 6, 300, 391, 500. That's almost an 891 OPS.
That is
A
that is pretty
162
good.
WRC plus. I mean, it's small sample size, but for a guy that desperately needs a win, I was in the same boat today, and I took
A guy
small
like
win,
that, you're gonna
so-
find a sample size that makes it look favorable because it's hard to find anything that does. So I'm happy for him.
It is hard. It's hard to do that. You're right. I'll buy the trend, though. I said it on the last episode. I think he's going to be trending in the right direction.
Hope so.
I do too. I think so too.
Can we talk about Hicks a little bit, though?
Sure.
I mean, all of his hits were bullshit.
It's honestly true.
Fair. Here's the thing that I'm looking at, though. His numbers
Okay, I'm there. I'm with you.
aren't that far off of his career for this season.
It's not saying much.
No, it's not saying much, but keeping in mind how terrible he was for the entire month of May and April, and half of April, the second half of April.
He was awesome for the first half, wasn't he?
right for the first half of April. He was great, but that was like maybe 7-10 games. Then he was historically bad, and then now he's rebounded. But his OBP is 25 points higher than his career. His batting average is the exact same. His slugging and OPS are down, but his OPS plus is only 10 points lower. So, like, as far as our expectations of him, obviously not very high. Do I think he's coming off the sun? No. But
Oh, I forgot he's still up there.
yeah,
Yeah, he's
on
gotta
the
do a
sun.
lot
I mean,
to
we
get
can,
back
if
down.
we want to vote on him
Nope.
to
No.
come off,
No.
I'm going to say
No.
obviously. But
No.
yeah,
Nope.
The only way he's getting off the sun is if he like has a DiMaggio-esque streak,
Oh
or
my god,
That's-
that's just not.
or
He has
hits,
to have, what is it, a
You
57
cannot,
game
you cannot
streak?
say his name and DiMaggio's name.
I said that's the only way he's coming off the Sun.
I disagree. I think
I think if his OPS plus
if he
goes
shows that he's a
above-
competent player, if he's an
Right.
average baseball player, he does not deserve to be on the Sun. So this stretch,
there are
Isn't
two ways. There's another way I think he could come off.
To have another foul pole home run.
yeah, I would take him off.
Sort
for
of, yeah. So like,
a big
if
moment.
he has, say, 2 game-saving plays against quality opponents / walk-off / something outstanding, 2 of them, and he keeps up relatively good numbers in the meantime, I'm okay with taking him off. Like,
I'm
say
with you.
that
I think you guys
That
are being a
game-
bit
if he has-
bullish on him.
No,
if
I'm
he
not.
has 2 of those, like, what was it, 2019 against the Indians, where he like completely tweaked and then had that walk-off diving catch. If he has like 2 of those in the next month,
Twins,
and
but-
that's what it. What did I say? Cleveland.
Yeah, you said the Indians, which isn't even a team, Murph.
Right.
on, Murph.
Yeah. So yeah, the play he
This
had against the
economy?
Redskins.
Jesus.
Yeah, if he has another Redskins game, then that'd be great. 2 of them, and he's off the
Wait,
sun.
what
You mean the Washington football team?
You trying to trigger me?
That was on purpose, right?
That was 100% on purpose.
Okay. Just making sure for the audience, not for me, Murph.
All right.
Good news, the
For
Yankees are winning.
audience.
Great.
Yeah, Donaldson.
Cool.
Knots.
Yeah, you want to do the knots?
Nat.
Who's doing the knots?
Chandler.
Drake, Chandler.
All right, first up on the knots. Very upset to put him on this list. I think this is the first time he's been on this list. But it's Mr. Nestor Cortez. His last start, 4.1 innings pitched, 7 hits, 4 earned, only 3 strikeouts, bringing his season ERA up to a 1.96.
No, it's one start.
Obviously, just need to put it on here. When you have a historic team like this, it's tough to find knots. That's probably why I'm putting this one on here. Stanton's fielding is lit. We addressed it already, but there's at least 3 or 4 plays out there where he just straight up looks lost, and it almost seemed fucked up, like they were targeting him. Like, hey, look at that idiot in right field. Let's go push it the other way and just hit one. He does not know how to field a baseball. Obviously, Damon Romeo can field these balls. And then separately, Stanton is hitting 339 as a right fielder, 233 as DH. I guess I could have waited till we were done with the music to bring that up, but thought it was interesting. Are you buying the fielding?
I mean, that was the worst fielding game of his career. He's not going to be that bad.
Okay.
I wouldn't worry about it until it gets a little.
Anthony
consistent
Rizzo.
problem.
Well, more on that in a second. Anthony Rizzo, last 30 days. I think this is one that we could sink our teeth into and really talk about. Last 30 days, 182 batting average, 270 on base, 391 slug for a 661 OPS. In that time span of 30 days, 25 strikeouts.
I'm going to buy that.
Wow.
That's tough. Why don't we just
You want to just jump right into that?
start
one?
with that?
I don't think he's that bad, but even his whole time with the Yankees, he hasn't been. Aside from a couple of hot stretches, obviously he was like the player of the month in April, but he's been bad at the plate more than he's been good, I would say. Which I don't think he's this bad, but I don't know that he's gonna necessarily be. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna be this all-star crazy productive hitter for his entire tenure here, which is fine. He plays good defense and he takes good professional at bats. We've talked about it before. He takes at bats that you want and that you need to see from people in the lineup. He takes a lot of pitches. He's able to, you saw it the other night, come off the bench and choke up and put one up the middle whenever we needed to score the runs and tie the game, take the lead, whatever. He's a professional hitter. He can do things like that. I'm not worried about that. I don't know. I don't know that he is this just crazy great hitter anymore. I don't know if that, and you know what? Maybe I sound like an asshole, but I don't.
You do.
I don't know. It's not like he's having an incredible season and had a down week. Had a good 2 or 3 weeks, and it's been pretty bad offensively outside of that.
14 home runs. That's the thing for me.
That is a thing.
Like, no, I mean, obviously he's had a very bad 2 weeks, and he's hitting almost, basically Mendoza this year, but he has had 14 home runs, and they've all seemed very timely.
Good point.
That Plus,
I
obviously,
literally said that in my argument for him. I said he's a professional hitter. He's going to have some good, timely home runs and stuff. But I'm just saying I think we need to temper our expectations for.
I think we were a little misled in the beginning. Is that fair to say?
No, I don't think so. I think we know he can go through cold spells like this. We saw it.
I know, but if he
last
started out
year with
incredible.
us.
No, Damon, you're absolutely right.
He started out incredible, and then we were like, oh my God, fuck everybody else. And then now it's kind of come back to earth, and that's fine.
I do think you said that verbatim.
We were saying good thing we didn't get Olsen or Freeman because Rizzo's a stud, and now he's serviceable because he's got a plus glove and he hits timely and whatever. But
I listen. I still think he fits the team better than.
I agree.
I still think that's totally true. I still think this was like, I'm not unhappy about anything so far. I'm just saying like I also still think he's gonna be great the rest of the year. I think he's just going through a little bit of a.
I think he's somewhere in the middle. He's not going to be the player of the month every month, but he's not going to be hitting 180 for the entire year. Like he's somewhere in the middle, and that's fine. That's fine.
He'll finish 230.
He doesn't need to be.
Does that? I'll be.
He doesn't need to be our best player. He
I
needs
think
to
he'll be
do
better
it.
than that.
I don't think I think he'll be 230, 240, which is fine. You don't need him. You have enough around him to where he doesn't need to be this just incredible lights out player of the month every month player.
But also he's like you say, he's a situational guy, which is like exactly what we need in big situations. And I'll say it, Murph. Do you want to say it? A locker room guy.
Big locker room guy.
Big locker room guy.
I mean, he hits 266 for his career. The last 3 seasons, he's hit around exactly 250. I think he'll end up there.
I agree.
And that's what it was funny you say that because I was going to ask what we thought. I really don't think batting average is a good indicator, but I was curious what we thought he was going to end with batting average wise because his home runs are on pace with his prime right now, I would say. He's got 14 through a third. It's actually probably above if you put it that way, but his batting average is way lower. So the batting average is the part that we're, I guess, worried about. Because he's hitting 1 something through the last 14, 2-0 something on the year.
Yeah.
So what do we think it's going to come to? I would say probably 240.
Can we add one to the not list? Garrett Cole has given up 3 straight home runs to start the game.
I mean, that's nothing new. That's the same thing.
He always says that.
Yeah.
Home run, walk.
It's nothing new
for Garrett Cole.
Dude,
he's been doing that since he's been on the Yankees.
I did a stat. I did research.
Damon did a thing.
I did a thing. And since becoming a Yankee, he's let up a home run. Sorry, he's let up a run in the first inning 57% of the times he starts as a Yankee. Okay, so it's nothing new.
But
can't argue with
3
Damon's
straight
numbers.
home runs?
What?
3 straight home runs? Back to back to back?
I mean, that's ridiculous.
It's not good.
It's not good.
He does it. The home run ball has always been a thing for him. But there's never really people.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying I'm not surprised.
Well, I get that, but giving up 3 straight is not good. And then a walk.
You can't put a guy on the not list halfway through his game.
It was a joke. I just wanted to address that he's getting lit up.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not happy, but I'm not surprised.
We'll readdress this next Thursday.
Yeah, Monday.
No, hot or not.
Oh, yeah.
Thursday.
One thing I did want to talk about a little more, and I know we talked about it a bit, is not the Stanton fielding thing, but Stanton in particular. I did mention that he's batting .339. This is a stat absolutely courtesy of the mathematics factory over in the Glens with an S Falls. He's hitting .339 as a right fielder, .233 as a DH, and that is, I don't know how many games played does he have this season, because
20. He has 20 in right, 22 as a DH,
okay,
2
perfect.
pinch hits, which don't matter.
That's what I was trying to get at. Is I think it's a good sample size on both sides of the coin here. It's 50-50 split pretty much. Our theory was correct, at least to this point. I think is enough of a sample to say him being in the field makes him a better hitter, and he's said that. People have said that. It's a clear indication in this specific example, but there's reasoning behind it. That's why we thought, hey, he should be playing the outfield because it's going to get you more involved. You're not going to be cold sitting on the bench just worrying about hitting. He's a capable fielder, and I think you said the same thing. He's not as bad as he looked last night. I mean, he was so bad last night that even our friend Matt, who's a Red Sox fan, watches a lot of baseball. He was watching the game yesterday. He's like, dude, what happened with Stanton last night? And I was like,
dude, he tried to catch a ball like with his bare hand.
He did try to
over
do that.
the shoulder. He tried to do over the shoulder barehanded catch.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Did not play out.
Did not play out well. I don't know what, but had he caught that with a bare hand, that would have been a da-na-na.
I mean, that would have been a not top 10 turned into a top 10.
Yeah,
like that was just like it was ridiculous. That's
as
all I'll
they
say on
often
that.
are.
It's true that.
In
A
baseball,
little bit of a Clint Frazier-esque, like read the ball wrong and then made a great play.
So here's a bit of a hot take that I came up with literally just now.
Do share.
I don't think that we have a true DH.
no, I don't think so.
No,
either.
it's not bad. Yeah,
Like
Like a Nelson Cruz.
I mean,
it's a good
obviously
thing though.
yeah, it's a great
I-
thing.
But last year we were like, oh, we have 6 guys that should just be DHs. It felt like,
We trimmed the fat.
and I mean, yeah, Gary obviously is one of those guys, whatever.
Voit.
And so like, I wouldn't hate, if, and I know he does DH a lot, but I wouldn't hate Donaldson DHing like pretty
No,
regularly.
I prefer him
Obviously,
DHing because that means you got Glaber and and DJ both in the lineup.
Yeah, and it also
agree.
means you have
And then-
Stanton in the right field.
Yeah, I would prefer. I
Right.
think if the playoffs started tomorrow and you had to come up with a game one lineup, Stanton would be in the field, Donaldson would be DHing, DJ at third, and I think that's their quote unquote death lineup that they like to call
Yeah.
it. That I think that's Donaldson is most definitely the DH in that situation.
Yep, agreed.
Here's one thing though that hasn't really happened. I know Rizzo's played most games and most of them at first. Rizzo's been struggling, as we obviously mentioned. What if DJ, what if he transitions into a DH role a little bit? Obviously, he's a plus glove, but Donaldson's not bad at third and DJ's not bad at first. And if he's struggling batting, why not change it up a little bit? Have him
don't hate
DH a
that.
few games.
I don't
If it
hate that,
doesn't
but
work, it
he's
doesn't
just
work,
such
but,
a
like,
good first baseman. It's hard
know.
to
That's
hard
true.
to bench that especially when you have guys like DJ and DJ's playing Gold Glove caliber third base, and Donaldson's playing a very elite level third base, and Glaber's
Even-
serviceable if not better at second.
He's much better at second than he was at short.
When
Much
IKF, who is your quote unquote defensive wonder kid, as Luke would call it, and he's your weakest link in the infield, which I would say he is as of right now. And that's even factoring in Glaber, because I think he's played pretty well at second for the most part. Obviously, there's a few outliers, a few dumbass mistakes, but I think that when he's your weakest link in the infield, that's a pretty good sign.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think that Rizzo just has so much fucking value at first. It's very, very hard to bench that.
Yep. It's one of the
it's a
reasons
good
we got
point.
him.
Yeah. Right now
definitely
that's his saving
driving
grace.
reason.
Yep.
That's the one thing, that stands out when he's slumping like this is still his ability to go out there and command the infield and play a good first base. I don't
Want to
know.
know something funny?
I'd love to know something funny.
While you were talking about IKF and his shortstop woes and versus what we expected him to be, I know we were talking about having a stopgap shortstop all offseason. He is that, obviously, until Volpe comes up potentially soon. The other people we were mentioning, and while you guys were talking about that, I looked this up, and Andrelton Simmons we flirted with the name Andrelton Simmons, so I wanted to look back and see, like, okay, we would definitely get premier defense out of Simmons. Should we have gone after him and played out that scenario? He currently has a 7 OPS plus, batting 178 for the Cubs.
It's not bad.
So,
A 7?
so if anybody was wondering,
Like the number 7 or like 700?
so like 100 minus 93.
It's not good.
That was a funny way of putting it, right?
That was funny.
How's
Good job.
Freddie Galvis
Still
doing
one
in
for
like
Luke.
the KBO?
I don't think Baseball Reference covers that.
All right. Shame on them.
Shame on them is right. One last thing I wanted to note on the Stanton situation. This is kind of another pat on the back. We set the over-under at 59.5 games played in the outfield for Stanton this year. Well, basic math will show that 1/3 of the way into the season, he has 20. Damon?
It's about 60.
That's about 60. Can't teach that, Damon. But a couple of sharks out here setting lines out of Vegas.
Doesn't work for us when we actually gamble, but
No, but we can set lines on random things
Yep.
that don't matter at all. But
Didn't know Las Vegas was at 161st Street.
I did.
so, with that being said, live line just shifted to nothing. It's the same thing. What would you take right now, setting over under games in the outfield, knowing that he significantly hits better in the field, which I know the Yankees see? Coming off an injury, though, so factor that in.
Let me put
Are they going to be a little more tedious with him, or not tedious, timid
not
in
with
the outfield, throwing him out there?
not because of the injury. I think that if things remain the same and they end up winning at the clip that they are, and we were talking about this with Judge. I think if they start winning the East comfortably, I think that they would sacrifice, whatever those splits are, even if those hold up to be constant over the course of 162. I think if they start to run away with the division or anywhere close to it, they'll start to DH him more, keep him in a groove hitting, but they don't want to risk that outfield injury.
Yeah.
It all just depends on how they play.
I'm going to go under. I think that, I obviously think that the last game was like the worst game of his career and like will go down as worst game of his career. I don't think it's going to get
Coming
worse
back
than
from
that.
injury, too.
Yeah, like I think if he does have another bad game though, that's gonna, it's not a good look. He might get some couple sits.
How many
DHs.
times in a year are you going to have that many like in between balls hit?
You're
you in
not.
right field?
You're not. It's very tough. But I think to your point too, like that with the injuries and stuff like that. I don't know. I think it's gonna be very close. It's gonna be like within a game.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I think if they're winning, they're not going to be really inclined to put them out there. They're just going to try and play it safe.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that necessarily will help him stay healthy, but I just knowing what they've done over the past few years, I think if they're winning, he's going to DH, and that's just the bottom line until they get to the playoffs.
Yep.
One last thing I wanted to talk about before we jump out of here and go watch the Jers playing Game 5. Let's go Rangers.
Go Rangers.
Go Rangers. Got a question from Nasback on Instagram. He wanted to know. He said, good question for the podcast. Say you signed Judge to the record deal that this is from last episode. He was listening to us. Thank you, Nasback. But he was listening and we were talking about the Judge record deal that Murph brought up on rounding third, that he thinks he's going to get Mike Trout money or better than Mike Trout money, more AAV than Mike Trout. So say we sign Judge to this record deal. What happens, or what do you guys do with other guys like Gleyber Torres and other people that are going to be needing an extension in the upcoming coming years? Like who in your minds gets the short end of the stick here? Because the Yankees have a lot of money, that's for sure, but we also know that they like to penny pinch. So if they're shelling out a ton of money for a third monster contract, because they already have Stanton's that they have to pay, which I know is not too much on our plate, but it's still a decent chunk of change in the grand scheme of things. Garrett Cole was making it was like the second highest AAV ever in the history of baseball.
Donaldson
is making a ton of money for no reason. Guys like Gleyber and guys like,
I think you're going to see it in the pitching. It's going to be guys like Jordan Montgomery are going to become expendable. Tyone will be expendable. Sevy maybe even.
And by expendable, you mean they're going to go by the wayside. They're going to be offered less than they're worth, and they might get money elsewhere.
But yeah, because you have also, you got to figure coming up, Heel, although Tommy John, he's still one of your top prospects. You got Medina, you got Waldachuk. You have all these guys coming up that can kind of fill. Let's be real, none of these guys, while they're great and whatever, they're not 26-year-old superstars that are must sign to extensions. They're good and they're very good, and they're the best staff in baseball right now. But none of these guys, outside of Sevy, you obviously want to keep him. He's a homegrown, could possibly be superstar. We've seen it in the past. But guys like Montgomery, he's consistent, he's solid. But with the talent you have in the minors, if you're trying to save money, he's replaceable. Tyone, same deal. I don't know. I think that's where you're going to see the majority of it. Not so much. It wouldn't shock me if they signed Gleyber to a team-friendly extension.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Especially with kind of the up and down.
He hasn't been good enough to warrant
He's not getting $200 million or anything. It wouldn't shock me if he got,
I'd get like an Aaron Hicks deal, to be honest.
Yeah, even a little more. Like I
Yeah.
could, because he's younger and he's got more upside. I could see him getting 15 million.
I was
going
gonna
to
say 15 million.
Like
a year.
not a lot more, but somewhere in
Well,
that neighborhood.
he's in arbitration until 2025, though.
Yeah, but I'm
So by
saying
then things change.
it wouldn't shock
yeah,
me
you're
if.
saying
But this
before
money's
then.
still on the books
Yeah.
by that
I'm just saying
time.
it wouldn't
Yeah.
shock me if in the next year or two, not this, say they sign Judge this offseason, if next year Glaber has another good, not great year, if they sign him to something, I don't know, 8 years for 15 million a year, done. That's off your plate. You don't have to worry about it. It's not going to break the bank, and you've got one of your young core, if you still want to call him that young core, you've got him locked up, and
Yeah.
that something like that wouldn't shock me. Like I said, you got a lot of money coming off the books too, so.
Well, like you just said,
I don't
Tyone and Sevi, I think that's where we're going to want to re-sign them, and I'm not going to be able to if we re-sign Judge because they're both done after this year.
Are they both done?
Yeah, they're
So you said Tyone and both Tyone and who? Sevi?
Sevi too, yeah. So Sevi surprised me. I looked it up just to be sure.
Monty?
In my head, like Sevi was locked up for pennies on the
Well,
dollar.
'cause he's been
basically,
hurt.
For how,
Yeah, he's been hurt.
So it was that, but when we re-signed him to that 4-year contract,
Signed him to the extension and he immediately got hurt.
right? No, right, but that extension was,
4
$40
years
million.
ago.
2019. Yeah, so it's 2019 season, 2020 season, 2021, 2022, and now he's leaving.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's not leaving. Maybe they can re-sign him, but like, he's eligible for free agency after this year. So is Tyone. Labor's arbitration eligible, and so is Nestor. They're not going to let a guy walk for arbitration, but like,
You can't let a guy walk in arbitration. I don't even
No,
think that's. You have to cut him.
right, which they're not going to do, obviously. But
I think if Tyone keeps this up, I think he's the one that I'm circling on this list that he's going to get. Like, if you want to circle one guy who's going to get, and I don't even want to say fucked because he will get money elsewhere, but one guy that will not be in pinstripes as a result of paying Judge the bag, he's the guy, because especially if he continues to be as great and consistent as he has been, because that consistency gets paid.
How much longer is
anywhere
Montgomery
else?
locked up for?
so he is arbitration next year and then free agent 2024.
Okay,
So
Yeah,
he also might get.
that's one I could see.
Well,
going by
they're
the
very
wayside.
similar, but Tyone especially right now because the Judge contract will happen right now. So in the wake of the Judge contract extension, they are not going to pay Tyone. They're going to let him walk and say, like, don't let the door hit you on the way out,
Let
even
me
though
ask you
he's
guys
been great.
this: Judge's
for-
arbitration hearing is less than 2 weeks away, assuming it gets to a hearing. Do they settle? Do you think there's any shot in extension in these 2 weeks, or what? Because we haven't heard anything.
Can I ask you this? And I asked it as a genuine question. 'Cause
You may.
I don't know. Do they consider this year into that or no?
What do you?
They
the
still don't know.
extension?
They still don't know how much he's making
No,
this
in
year.
the arbitration.
That's what the arbitration is to see how much he makes this
Yeah,
year.
they haven't decided how much he's making this year.
No, I understand that, but in that they consider, performance.
No.
Yes.
They could.
No, they don't
it-
consider this
Oh,
year's
for this year's
performance.
Right.
contract?
So
No,
it's
no.
so it's right. It's retroactive to 2020. Got it.
Yes.
I figured that much.
I
wasn't
think
totally
I
sure.
think that will drum up more conversations about I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, if we get a deal done by that day, because that's like hey, we're talking right now.
See,
why don't we just we're talking about one thing, but why don't we talk about the elephant in the room here? You're putting up numbers right now.
Yeah.
Why don't we just like knock this out right now?
That's what I feel like we would have heard something, or they would have settled on a number by now, unless they just want to totally tarnish that relationship. Because if he's doing this and then you roll into that hearing, you're like, well, you kind of fuck him out of. I mean, granted, it's not a huge sum of money in the relatively speaking that they're arguing over, but if he's doing this and then you roll into that meeting and shit on him, I mean that's it.
I don't think they're gonna shut him. I don't think they're gonna do
That's what arbitration
anything.
is.
I don't think they're doing anything similar to a Betances situation.
That's quite literally what these meetings are for.
Not when you have 22 home runs.
Well, you either pay, at that point you either pay him.
That's what I mean. I think they're just gonna pay him.
That's what
But
I'm
I
saying.
think
That's what I'm saying. If it gets to the hearing, though,
But
that's the whole point of the hearing.
The way I'm taking the hearing is like, we're
settle before that,
working
though.
men in the corporate world. The way I see this hearing is like a standing biweekly meeting with somebody that you just have it circled to just chat about anything that's going on at the time. I think they're just like leaving it there. So like, hey, this is when we're going to chat about something. Let's just figure out everything in one spot.
I mean, if it gets to the hearing, it's going to get ugly. I just hope it doesn't. And I think the most realistic scenario is they reach a number before that and they'll just pay him his money. I would like to see him do an extension. I don't think that's going to happen.
I do.
Before that?
Yes.
You think there's going to be an extension in the next 13 days?
Yes.
I don't.
So there are 3 exits on this highway of him. You know,
bet you real money.
There are 3 exits. There are like 3 times that this is going to get done. I think the most likely is before the arbitration hearing, like Rella just said. The other one is maybe the trade deadline, and you assess where you're at and, you know, whatever, because nobody else can offer him at that time. And then the other one, I guess the other 2 are just off season, you know. But you have to consider also what other teams are going to be the ones to pony up for him. And they're the teams that you're trying to compete with. If they think that they can make a World Series without Aaron Judge, you got to assume they're going to bring in some other high free agent. I don't even know what the free agent class looks like next year.
They can't win a World Series without Judge. Unless you want to go out and get Trey Turner or something in the offseason, which they're not going to do.
I think Judge is more valuable than Trey Turner by a long shot, too.
I think Judge is right now
I do too.
The best player in baseball.
The most valuable player in baseball
I think he is.
for the Yankees. I mean, obviously, Mike Trout's more valuable for the Angels than Aaron Judge is.
The argument can be made that Judge is the most valuable player in baseball regardless.
This year, right now,
MVP is what he's going to win this
year.
year.
He's plus 170 to win the MVP.
He's going to win MVP.
There you go. I agree. And then, but if you let him walk, think of the teams that are going to pay for him. The Mets, the Dodgers, Boston, maybe. The Giants obviously have been talked about a lot. And then, like, you know, these other teams that maybe are trying to build something within the next 5 years that still have some coin. I mean, maybe the Cubs, they've got, you know, some younger guys.
If he went to the Red Sox.
Yeah, you're not going to, basically, if he walks, we're not contending for the next 5 years.
Yeah, but if he went to the Red Sox, I would drive to the Golden Gate Bridge and jump off of it.
Got room in your car?
Oh, dude, I think
I don't have a car, actually. I would buy a car, take that car. Because obviously, if I jump off the Golden Gate, doesn't matter if I buy a car and go into debt.
It's somebody else's problem now.
Yeah.
I would make it to the Golden Gate Bridge. I'd jump out of the plane or the car on the way there.
That's true. Okay.
No, but
how about we break
like
this down?
Imagine we win a World Series and he doesn't come back.
Like Freddie Freeman.
Well, all right, how about this?
I would say that wouldn't happen if we didn't just see it happen.
Yeah.
He won MVP too.
But
at least they brought in Matt Olson.
Yeah.
So what are we gonna bring in?
Mike Olson. That's the kid I went to high school with.
How about I say this? Would you rather win a World Series and Mike Trout leave? Right now,
I don't care about Mike Trout.
Guaranteed.
We don't have Mike Trout.
Sorry, Aaron Judge. Guaranteed right now. We win the World Series this year. Guaranteed Aaron Judge leaves, or leave it as it is now.
And not guarantee anything.
Not guarantee anything.
Well, I think a better question.
Maybe we win. Maybe he comes back. Maybe we lose. Maybe he still comes back.
I would phrase the question. If you're doing if you're doing that question, I would take the World Series. If you're doing the other version, which I think makes it a harder decision, would you do win the World Series, he leaves, or he stays, we don't win a World Series?
This year, yeah.
I get the World Series.
I would still take the World Series.
I said it before, like I would take a World Series and for literally anything.
Yeah, I would give up 20 years of my life to win a World Series.
I would sell everyone on the Yankees this year if we won this.
I don't know if I'd give up 20 years of my life, but
this is literally why we watch Yankees to win the World Series. Yep. So I'm fine doing that. Market 8, dude.
Yeah.
But so here's the thing. And I phrased that question the way I did for a reason.
That's a fun question. We should post that on social media.
We should post that question, absolutely. But the reason I said that is because you're running the risk of he could leave, he could stay, we could win, we could not. If we win this year and he leaves, it's as good of a guarantee as one and done, at least for the next 10 years. But if it runs as it is now, very realistic chance the World Series is in play, and a very realistic chance he stays, and then maybe you get both.
If he gets both, that'd be fucking awesome.
I mean, that's how it's been for the Yankees in the past. Like historically, it's been, you know, more decades than not, we've won multiple. It's quite literally the most Like, it's a dynasty, and it has been every time we've won a World Series, except for the last 12 years.
Which is why I'd be willing to do this. I'd be willing to say, like, I'll take one, and then it's almost like, it's like the Cubs. Mortgage the future. It's not even mortgaging the future because that money would be allocated elsewhere. If we don't re-sign Judge, it's not like
we have the money to do.
If we don't re-sign Judge, that's money that we can spend on other things. Which, like you said, the Braves did that by bringing in somebody else. It actually, before Freddie Freeman left, they brought in Olsen because they knew they weren't going to bring him back. So,
and look how it's gone for both.
That's
also, I mean, they're both doing great.
Yeah,
they're in second
The
place
Cubs?
in their division. Oh, the Cubs.
Yeah,
Oh no, we were talking about
It's terrible.
Olsen and Freeman.
No, I know that, and they're
Our
still,
situation
they're
is
not.
more
I
similar to
mean,
the
would they
Braves.
be that much better with Freeman? No. Yeah, you're right.
Well, they're still in second in their division. They'd still be behind the Mets. I think the Mets are better on paper. The Mets were better on paper last year too. I mean,
He goes
it's
to
just,
the Mets, I'll be pissed too.
That would make me sad.
I mean, the top 3 teams that I absolutely don't want him to go to are, I guess, in
Red
order:
Sox,
Red
the
Sox, Mets, Dodgers.
he's not going anywhere. All right,
she ain't going nowhere.
Maybe he goes to the
Should go
Rays.
that's the end of that.
What if
All
he
right.
went to the Rays?
No, we're not talking about
He's
that.
not going
They'd
anywhere.
have to sell
They
the
don't
trop
have,
to
they
do
don't have
that.
the money. Yeah, they would have to play somewhere else. They would have to play in Dunedin. No, they don't play in Dunedin. That's the Blue Jays.
Petersburg.
Yeah. Hot take. He goes to like the Reds.
Yeah, the
Imagine-
Reds.
imagine he was a
Arizona
pirate.
Diamondbacks.
No, whatever. We're done with this.
Imagine-
That'll do it from us.
Imagine he goes to the KBO.
Yeah. If they pony up, he can reunite with Massa.
Imagine he goes to Oklahoma State.
Just goes back to college.
He would look like a good. He would look good in a Golden
Aaron
Eagles
goes
uniform.
back to college. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We always appreciate it. If you could leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, we would greatly appreciate it. Go subscribe to the Bronx Pinstripes YouTube page. Go download the Underdog Fantasy app to get $100 free. Go join the Chalkboard group chat if you want to get caught up with us in the group chat. But anywho, as always, go Yankees.